Starting that. And we're live here on Facebook. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land, and also I'd like to welcome my buddy Rich. Rich, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike, and thanks for the welcome. We also can't forget about those folks out on the YouTubes as well.
Yeah.
Welcome to anybody wherever you're watching us. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're on the Facebook feed, you give us a reaction or a comment, we'll make sure to get you a shout out at the end of the show, or maybe even during if we catch it in time
Yeah.
to join in the conversation. So, Mike, it was a pretty average week for me. Not much went on. So yeah, or
Yeah.
not much went on for you.
Well, I mean, not really. Baby's getting bigger. My daughter's doing better with it and wants to help all the time. So, and then we officially start our first week without anybody around during the day. Starts
Ooh,
Monday. So,
okay.
uh, so with that, is there anything else pre-show shout-outs before we get started you want to give?
No, not any for pre-show. We'll
Okay.
save it. We'll save it for the regular shout out portion of the show.
Okay.
Um, so Mike, what are we going to be talking about? Give a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about this week.
Well, we had the All-Star game and all the festivities around that, and you know what? We almost saw history. Rich,
Almost.
what else do we have?
Well, Mike, we got to talk about the NASCAR races, Quaker State 400 last week, and the Crayon 301 this week. We got to give you our predictions and how we did last week, um, and we got to look at this NBA in-season tournament. We've kind of had it on the radar the past couple of weeks, but have kind of kicked the can down the road. So this week we're finally going to talk about it as more details finally came out this last week in between our shows. But Mike, all that and more, but what do we got to do
We
first?
gotta roll that intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich. Now, before we get into any of that, we do have the poll question. This week's poll question was Living on a Prayer versus Twist and Shout. Wow. I did not see this one happening the way that it went.
Yeah,
I'm kind
I
of
think I know
disappointed
where
in
you
all
went,
of you
but
people.
where did you go, Mike?
Yeah, I voted for Twist and Shout.
I did living on a prayer, and not to be different from you, Mike. I legitimately was going to vote living on a prayer even, um, against this. So where did the people vote, Mike? And do we have? And why don't you go ahead and give the shout outs because you have
Oh
multiple
man.
screens.
Well, this week it was 7-4 in favor of Don't Stop Believing. Solomon's Troop, Debbie Scranton Washburn, Sue Hart, Matt Myers, Danielle Hart, you, and Nathan Ross all voted for Don't Stop Believing. Me, Jordan Stroop, Eli Kincaid, and Ron Lehmans. All four of us, great taste in music. We know better. Voted for Twist and Shout. So
It was living on a prayer, not don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. I think was another week, or did I put the wrong song down?
you put the wrong song down, Rich.
Dang. Oh my goodness. Let's.
Oh wait, no,
You are
no,
wrong.
no. I'm on the wrong one. I'm on one from weeks ago. What? That's from. No, that was last week. July 8th. You put,
I put don't stop believing.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And you voted
We
for
gotta.
it, Rich.
I know. Do we need to let's see if don't stop believing was later on in the week. Yeah, Don't Stop Believing lost last week.
Mm.
Mm.
Rich. Um, well,
Did not see that one. So hold on here. I just can't stop. I don't believe I did that. Yeah, I did put it. Wow.
I'm looking right at it.
No, I know. Wow. So
We just
man.
go with
So
it, I
we
suppose. I mean, the people apparently think "Don't Stop Believing" is better than "Twist and Shout." I guess
ooh. Wow.
that's crazy. Y'all are crazy,
Yeah.
but whatever. That's what happens.
No. Let's see.
It's fine, Rich.
What don't
There's
no.
there's no
I
real
wanna make
science in
this
this.
right.
There's no real science
I
in this poll system. We put random stuff up there. It's not a big deal. The people have
here's what I will.
spoken. Don't Stop
Okay.
Believing moves on. Twist and Shout. Don't Stop Believing got a second chance and moves on. And Living on a Prayer has to fight another day. And so this week's poll question, Rich, is
Welcome to the jungle and final countdown.
da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. They both have some really iconic intros. That'll be a
They
good one.
do.
So,
They do. So, Mike, here's what I've decided to do here.
okay.
Because I messed up. No.
Yep.
I will throw down Twist and Shout into our final week matchup within the Elite Eight, but it'll be 3 songs that week instead of just the 2.
Well, how do you get Living on a Prayer in?
They live in the ooh.
We're going to have a runoff.
I'll run off again to put.
Yeah. So, with that,
I'll figure it out. I'll workshop it a little bit in between shows. 'Cause I don't
totally
like
fine.
to have the dead air time of thinking about it. So I'll figure something out to
Yeah.
get a 3-song.
Yeah,
Might
no
have
big
to
deal.
have two. Might have to have 2 weeks of 3-song choices
No big deal.
instead of the 3s. So Mike, as we said, where can you find those poll questions at? Whether they're right or wrong?
You can find them at Fans of Balls and Sticks.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much. Mike, do you see what's coming up next?
Is it a left turn, Rich?
It is a left-hand turn, Mike.
And after that, Rich, what's next?
It's probably another left-hand turn, Mike, because we're heading into the NASCAR corner presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois, on 5th Avenue if you're local, and you can also find them on eBay. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated for all your sports cards and memorabilia.
So this
Mike,
week,
where were we last week?
this last week, we were in Atlanta for the Quaker State 400. You picked Ryan Blaney. I picked Kevin Harvick. Your winner, William Byron. Rich, Ryan Blaney finished 8th. Kevin Harvick finished 30th. That brings you up to 15-8. Rich, did you get to watch any of the race?
I did. I did watch the race. Was a little disappointed that it was another rain shortened race, but at least this one went further into the race rather than the Chicago street race.
Yeah.
And it seems like drivers knew it was coming, and you could tell they were talking about on the broadcast the strategy play.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody knew what could have happened with Chicago.
Yep.
That we're gonna cut it short. They didn't know when it would be cut short, how it was gonna be cut short. So I didn't like the rain shortened race, but once again, this all goes back to why are you having night racing on a Sunday?
I don't mind a night race on a Sunday, but that's okay. I mean, it's a little weird that again, I'm an old school NASCAR fan. I've been watching since I was a kid. I remember watching races and they'd be on rain delay for like 5 or 6 hours, and then we'd all of a sudden come back and watch the rest of the race at like 10 o'clock at night. They didn't care. Now they've got to be a little more sensible about how they do it, and so they don't do it the same, and that's okay. That happens.
I don't know, but maybe it's the old man in me that's like, I gotta be up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work. Let's get this race over with.
Rich, I am awake until about 2 o'clock every day. Then I shower. And my baby eats about 2 o'clock. Most days I'm awake up until that point. Put the baby down, take a shower, go to bed myself, and then wake up at 6 a.m. To get ready to go to work. So
I know you're on a dad schedule right now.
The last month. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
So this week, Rich, we are heading into New Hampshire for the Crayon 301 in New Hampshire. Who you picking? And any advice for fantasy fans?
I'm going to go with Christopher Bell. The Toyotas seem to run really well in New Hampshire, and I think Bell has finished either first or second in this race the past 2 years. So I'm going to go with Bell to be holding the giant lobster at the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ross Chastain. I think he's going to feed a watermelon to a lobster this week.
Okay.
So watch for that. And then anybody in the fantasy NASCAR, anything you want to talk about on that before I give any strategy methods or anything like that this week?
I'd have to say probably load up on your Toyotas this week. It seems like Harvick's really good at this track as well as the Toyota drivers, and Truex is really consistent at this track. He hasn't won it, but he's always in the top 10.
Okay, I mean that's great advice, and that advice brought to you by Rich and his insights this week. Rich, I got a question for you.
All right.
What? I forgot I had a good question about NASCAR stuff, but I totally forgot.
While you're thinking of that, Mike, what'd you think of the news that a sponsorship deal could be impacting 2 race teams going in the next year, as Busch Light will be going from Stewart Haas's number 4 car of Kevin Harvick, and will be throwing their money behind Ross Chastain's number 1 car for Trackhouse Racing.
So this is one of those things that Busch has for years, and I mean for years, has thrown money behind a driver. They tend to be more of a driver-based sponsor and not a team-based sponsor. And so I'm not surprised. But, and this is the big thing, I can't wait for watermelon-flavored Busch Light. That's happening, right?
It's got to happen.
I mean, you got a watermelon farmer being sponsored by Busch. You gotta at some point have that.
Well, I think it will. The past 2 years they came out with an apple, Busch Light apple, and this year they did peach. So watermelons probably would be another one, a natural partnership to go with.
Yeah.
With their NASCAR driver. How do you think could this impact Stewart Haas Racing? Because normally Kevin Harvick runs he has Busch Light, Hunt Brothers Pizza, and
who's retiring this year.
Yeah, Andy's retiring this year.
So, in general, I mean, yes, it hurts them because they're losing a major sponsor for them, but in the immediate, it's not that big of a deal for them. They the driver sponsor is going away. That happens. Now we have to get somebody else for our new driver. So, Rich, real quick. Yeah. Ooh, excuse me. Wow. Real quick, let's give shout outs to our fantasy league as Dupo 24. won the week last week with a score of 165. You took second with 161. I took third with 145. Jordan the Supas scored 102, and Funkhouse scored 48. The other two didn't get a lineup in, so they don't get a shout out. With that all happening, you are.
Where did you go, Mike?
I finished third.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that one.
With all that happening, Rich, you are in first place overall with a score of 3,447. Solomon, or Dupo24, is in second with 3,357. I'm in third with 3,050. Funkhouse is in fourth with 2,899. Jordan the Supis is in fifth with 2,259. Jenna Bean is in sixth, and Jeffrey is in seventh. So, good on us on that, and I moved up to third.
All right. Continue to put in your fantasy lineups from week to week.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's still ways that I'm still there. I'm sure there's still time for you to join the fantasy league if you so choose, as we always have that link in our show descriptions.
Yeah.
Mike, why don't you go ahead and take us out on the NASCAR corner and into baseball?
This has been the NASCAR Corner, presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs on 5th Avenue in the great city of Moline, or on their eBay store. Once again, this is the NASCAR Corner, presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Let's keep making left turns as we talk about baseball. So it was a fun week of baseball, as we had the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby, and then other stuff happened this week. We'll talk about that later. But with that, the Cubs only had 3 games because of that. They played 2 against the Yankees, and then they had the All-Star break. And then they came back for 1 against the Reds yesterday. Rich, how'd they do?
Well, Mike, they went 1-2 as they split the Saturday-Sunday matchup with the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, and they lost last night to the Boston Red Sox. So, Mike, I said they'd win 1 game. They got me that 1 game. Mike, you said they'd win 0 out of that.
Yep. So this next week, they have 2 against the Red Sox, 3 against the Nationals, and 2 against the Cardinals. Rich, how are you picking those ones?
Well, Mike, when I wrote up the outline with the matchups, I put 4, but I was not expecting an 8-3 loss to the Red Sox on Friday, yesterday, so I downgraded that to 3. If I got to break it down, I'm thinking they might get 1 with the Red Sox. And between those 5 games with the Nats and the Cardinals, I'm going to give them 2, mostly because I think they'll play down to their competition, and the Nationals will come in and probably steal 2 wins from them. And it's hard to tell with those Cardinal games. So of what could happen in the Cardinal games.
I'm going to give them 1 of them against the Red Sox, 2 against the Nationals, and at least 1 against the Cardinals. So I'm going to give them a total of 4.
All right. So we'll see how those games go when we talk next week. So, okay. Mike, we had the All-Star game that you talked about.
Neither one of we didn't pick who we wanted for the All-Star. I would have picked. I always pick the National League. I always cheer for the National League. Again, this comes from the old school mindset. Rich and I, we're not old men, but we act like old men when it comes to sports. And both of us have this mindset that when you, you cheer for your league, and the Cubs are a National League team, so you cheer for the Cubs. Part of that for me goes back to when the National League the All-Star game determined who got home field advantage for the World Series. So that's part of it. But it's whatever.
Yeah, the National League ended up winning this year 3-2 and that snapped a 9-game losing streak
Yeah.
for the senior circuit. Um, so, Mike, I was a little bit I this year with the All-Star game, I was really surprised to see the amount of people that said, "I'm not going to participate," even though they were chosen for the games. Between Framber Valdez of the Astros saying, "Well, if I'm not going to start, I'm not going to go."
Yeah.
So they replaced him on the All-Star team, and and I think you had a couple of people that were late scratches, but not due to being starting pitching on starting 2 days before the All-Star break, but just going off of minor injury concerns and saying, I'm not going to play in the game, but I'll still go."
Yeah, it's one of those things where uh, there's no real incentive anymore, and it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, and in reality, I don't know if deciding home field advantage in the World Series is really would even be incentivized to play in the game. And but one interesting thing that I heard on driving around town listening to ESPN radio was an idea that somebody floated of why not have the people that get picked as starters not play maybe the first 3 innings of the game starting the game, but they end the game, because so many times the end of the All-Star game is decided by the random players that get chosen
Yeah.
to the game, because, well, we need to have a person from every team make the roster, or you've got the backups
Why?
in
No,
there
see,
into the All-Star game.
and again, you're hitting on things that make me sound more and more like an old man. I think we could get rid of the concept of needing to have uh, people, neither one person from every team. If you're not an all star in your spot, you don't deserve to go. Just because let me come up with somebody.
Okay. This year you had the A's, Brett Rooker. Who?
Does he
Michael
deserve to be an
Lorenzen
all
from
star at all?
Michael Lorenzen from the Tigers. No, I don't think that he does.
So why do they need to be on the team? Like, earn your spot. It's no longer like, and and I think it's tied together. I think part of the reason why you don't have these guys start playing in it and is because it doesn't matter. It's not actually about how good you are. It's a popularity contest, which, yes, it's always been a popularity contest, but when it was the national writers or the coaches picking who got to go to the All-Star game, you at least had people that were evaluating the talent and then a popularity contest. Now it's just Atlanta gets all their people to vote.
Well,
Texas,
that's
every
the starters.
Texas. Yeah, but the
The
reason
starter wise is there, but then the reserves are chosen by the league, it, the league and the coaches and the players
Yeah.
selecting who they think should win on there.
Yeah, but
But did Atlanta's entire infield deserve to be there? I think Arcia, if it wasn't for the fan vote, I don't think Arcia would have been there. But there was a case to put Riley, Albies, and Olson there.
yeah, and I also understand that part of the concept is that you're trying to get the fandom involved, but the fandom it's
And I
how
think
many
that
people
was
follow the sport like you and I do versus how
let me
many
put it-
people
okay.
follow the sport like our wives do.
It's probably more leaning towards the people that casually watch it or will watch it once the playoffs start.
And
Or
then even
they're-
worse, when you vote, Rich, how do you vote? How do you honestly vote when you vote for the All-Star game stuff?
I vote for who I think deserves to play there, not for my favorite players or my favorite team. I'm not going to vote all Cubs.
Right, and most people vote for either their team or their favorite player. That's it. So, or if they're voting and they don't know, they're like, "Oh, I've heard of that person. Oh, I know that person." Which, by the way, that's a better way to vote than just blanket voting
Yeah.
for all of the Cubs. Because if you're a casual fan and you don't know, I bet if you've heard their name, they're good enough that they probably deserve to be in the All. If Danielle filled out a ballot for the All-Star game, she would probably pick all from one team because she knows that she likes that team. But if she just went off of names that she recognized, that would probably be a decent contingent of who deserves to be in the All-Star game. Now, it might skew to 2016, 2017 Cubs, but most of who she would pick would be people that she at least knows the name well enough that, and as soon as she knows the name well enough, then we know that it's somebody that deserves to be an All-Star. Sorry, you had something you had really thought out, and I could tell, but I went on.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think every team has to have a representative at the All-Star game. Went back to, well, if a team's fan base doesn't have a player in the All-Star game, they're probably not going to watch the game anyway. And I think that train of thought, I think, is out the window now. I mean, if the Cubs had no All-Star the past 3 years when they really weren't very good, and we're only getting that token All-Star put into the game, would that have factored whether you watched the game or not?
Nope. By the way, I didn't watch the game.
Exactly.
I watched the entire home run derby. That was fun.
It was. We'll talk on that a little bit. We'll get to there. But so yeah, I don't see why you need to have the token representative from some of the worst teams in the league.
Here's a fun question:
be in an All-Star conversation.
Would you prefer to be picked as the MVP of the All-Star game, or win the home run derby?
I think I'd rather win the home run derby.
Me too. There's nothing other than you're the home run derby champ that year. But being the MVP now, again, I think it comes down to fan vote. I don't know exactly how they do it, but if you were truly picking the true MVP of the All-Star game, theoretically that means you're the best of the best. And that's cool. But I still want to be the home run derby champ more.
Yeah, I mean, the All-Star Game MVP, I think, does happen as a fan vote. And normally it's like the random player. I think it was Elias Diaz got it. Probably saying that wrong, but the Rockies catcher, they get the go-ahead home run. So you don't know. They open up the voting even before the game's even over to vote on who's the All-Star Game MVP, and that's really not much. I don't know how much weight that honor has. I mean, the only thing that you have for maybe going to the All-Star game is maybe there's a bonus clause in your contract if you're named to the All-Star game.
Yeah, and even
voted in as a starter.
Even that's not a huge thing as much anymore.
No, because how many guys I mean, you don't talk about load management too much in baseball, but how many guys did we have say, I'm going to opt out of the All-Star game this year? Yeah. I'm not going to play because I'd rather have the time off.
Yeah. And that's what happened.
So before we get to the home run derby, it came out that Rob Manfred announced who the sites that they're considering for future All-Star games, and good old Wrigley Field came up as a possible finalist.
I think that's accurate.
For the 2025 game.
I think that's a very reasonable thing to do. The Ricketts family has totally taken that park and the surrounding area and turned it into something amazing. So I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, I mean, the commissioner was saying that they want to get it back to a site that it hasn't been in a while. So the other cities that it's going up against are Boston, which was 24 years ago, Atlanta 23, Toronto 32, and also Chicago, which is over 30 years ago, as they last had the All-Star game in 1990.
Yeah, I don't remember. I genuinely don't remember the last time it was at Wrigley, so that'd be exciting. Would
Yeah,
you
for
go?
me, I don't. Man,
All Star
I
game.
think. Okay.
Let's say you get free tickets. Is it something you go out of your way to go see?
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay.
I mean, for me, for whatever reason, I mean, the home run derby would interest me.
You don't
There's
get.
been
How
in
about
an in-game. Go ahead.
I go ahead? No, you first.
Well, no, I guess. I mean, I don't remember what year it was. I think it was maybe 90. Maybe I was a freshman. 97 or 98. You had Glen Allen Hill hit a ball on top of a rooftop. Hasn't happened since. To my best of my knowledge, it hasn't happened since. How many balls would land on one of those rooftops in a home run derby?
Yeah, yeah. That's a great
That would be
point.
fun just to see how many balls could make it up there to where could you have a correspondent on one of those rooftops, have a camera off of one of those rooftops to see. So there'd be great vantage points, but I mean, if like one of the incentives of being getting an all-star game revolves around ballpark renovations or new ballparks. So that's why Atlanta, Baltimore, and Toronto are there. But I mean, what more can the Ricketts do to Wrigley Field to make that a more attractive
I think it's what they've
spot
done,
for a
and I
marquee
think if
game
you
like
look
that?
at
I
what
don't know
they've
how much more
done,
they can do.
I think if you look at what they've done, they deserve it. It's it's great. It's amazing to see. I'm super happy for it. So, I would love to see it there. I don't know that it's something I would go to, mostly because for me it's like a 9-hour trip. It's a little hard to do.
Yeah, I think I'd try and do it if it was possible to get the tickets for reasonable or of course free. I think I'd try and do it.
Would you work
Um,
harder to get? So if you had to work for it,
okay.
All Star Game or Home Run Derby?
I think I'd rather be in attendance for a home run derby
Me
over
too.
the All-Star game.
Me too. Okay. Um. Blah 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 blah. Okay.
Home run derby.
Let's talk Home Run Derby as we do. So last week I asked the question, who do you think is going to win? You picked Julio Rodriguez, lost in the second round to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I picked Vlad, and he won, becoming the first son of a father who also won a home run derby to win the home run derby. Um, so we saw the most home runs hit in the single round set this week.
Yes, 41 home runs
Yeah.
hit by Rodriguez to beat Pete Alonso.
Now, question about it.
All right.
In the old days, it was about your totals. Wasn't about going against a person. Do you want to go back to that, or do you like the current format?
Well, I liked the old format where it was outs. It wasn't about it wasn't a timed event. There was no time and you got 10 outs. So as soon as you hit 10 balls that weren't home runs, you were done.
Yep.
So that's why they had about where like the home run derby that Vlad Guerrero Sr. won, it was like 3-2.
Yeah.
So in that final round, only 3 long balls went out, and with them doing out non-home runs being an out, that's why the home run total was so less.
Yep. And I don't mind this huge amount. I think we should change what an out is versus like I like the concept of the out, but I think what it should be is one, we're not gonna put 25 kids to get beamed by a ball by Vlad Guerrero Jr. That happened. It's not good, but it happened. We're not. That's not what we're gonna do. What we're going to do, and what I think is a better solution, is we're going to give. We're gonna put like 5 kids out in the outfield. We're putting 5 kids out there, If one of those kids catches a ball in the outfield, you're out. You also, if you hit 3 fouls in a row, now, or 3 fouls, 3 fouls in a row, you're out. You get 10 outs. Good luck.
Yeah, I think I could have swore wasn't one of the other rules is the pitcher couldn't throw another ball until the one either landed or it went over the wall and was declared a home run.
Yeah, that was a huge thing too. So, especially,
I remember a player getting their home run derby pitcher, where there was like umpire. Oh, did he wait for the signal from the umpire to throw the next pitch?
Yeah.
Because how many on the coverage when you were watching it, you didn't even get there. There was so many of, oh, there's another one. You didn't even get to see where all the home runs landed because it was such a rapid fire on pitching.
Totally
going on.
Totally, and it was not cool. So, I totally agree. I think that's a problem. I would love to see I would love to go back to more of a standard of how it goes. I don't mind the rapid fire pitching. I do mind the way that they can cover it with the rapid fire pitching, which is they can't. So I kind of mind the rapid fire pitching. But I'd like to see it go back to outs. So Rich,
and I do like your idea of like not putting a group of elementary school kids out there. I mean, take like the best high school players from the host city.
Yeah.
Or even college prep people. Put them out in the outfield. 5
I would
or
say
6
either
kids.
high school or I would even go with junior high kids. Put 5 junior high kids out there. College or high school kids, most of those high school kids are going to be able to get to it. By the way, a ground
it's
ball,
an out if they catch it.
A ground ball is an automatic out, and a fly ball caught by one of those 5 kids in the outfield is an out. That's how I think. Rich, speaking of old school rules, what old man duo? By old man, you can go back as far as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think would be fun to see? Again, going back as far as you want makes this part a little more difficult, but that you would like to see in a home run derby. I'm saying, in my concept, if you picked 2 guys to do it that played in our era that are still alive today. So my concept,
okay,
Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt, versus Ken Griffey Jr. today.
Right. I kind of like that.
Like they go up against each other today. Heck, how about Ken Griffey Jr. at age 50 whatever versus Big Papi? That would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. So I'm going to go with Frank Thomas, who is on steroids now because he does commercials for steroids, and versus Ken Griffey Jr. Who do you think is going to win on that? And 2, who do you have as your picks?
I go with my picks. He was at the tail end of his career, probably when I started following baseball. But maybe Darryl Strawberry and Sammy Sosa.
Ooh, that'd be a good one. Now, Darryl Strawberry on the drugs or Darryl Strawberry clean? That's the first big question.
Yeah.
By the way,
we'll go New York Mets era. If it's the prime of their career, we'll go New York Mets.
Okay.
Darryl Strawberry.
Now, if we're talking now, I don't know. Is he still on drugs or is he off the drugs?
No. He's a preacher now.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Darryl Strawberry.
Totally clean. He's a preacher.
Darryl Strawberry
against
now.
Against a slimmed down.
Sammy Sosa. Yeah. See, that'd
or
be a fun.
Barry Bonds.
That'd be. We're gonna stay off the Barry Bonds one. We could talk about that one too. But so again, who do you think wins your matchup? And then who do you think wins my matchup?
Man, that'd be tough. A slimmed down Sammy Sosa and an old Darryl Strawberry.
I mean, they're both old. Sammy Sosa's still
and
old.
they're both old.
Like, he's in his 50s. If not, he's in his late 40s.
I think I'd go Sammy Sosa.
Yeah.
And with yours, Griffey, what was your final choice?
Griffey versus Frank Thomas.
Griffey versus Frank Thomas. I go Frank Thomas.
Yeah, I think Frank is still pumping those drugs into his vein, and I don't think we should stop him from doing it. He's putting that testosterone in, getting all swole still. So yeah, I think Frank Thomas. But okay, now Frank Thomas versus, and by the way, I pick
okay.
Darryl Strawberry in that one because. Yeah, I picked Darryl Strawberry. So we'll go with your pick because I randomly brought this upon you.
Okay.
So you have Sammy Sosa versus Frank Thomas. Who's going to win?
Because of the shape they're currently in, I'd probably go Frank Thomas. Still.
Yeah.
He's still.
No, I totally agree. But wouldn't it be fun to watch Frank Thomas at 55 years old? I don't know. I'm randomly pulling numbers out. Let me Google it. Frank Thomas at the age of 55 years old.
Wow.
Versus
And how old is Sammy Sosa?
a 54-year-old. Wow. Time out. That really just messes with my brain. Because to me, those guys are almost a full era apart. Frank Thomas, when he was big early, and he was hugely popular early on. Sammy Sosa was well known, but it wasn't until like
the baseball strike that he went on to the national stage as being an established, well-known star outside of the city of Chicago.
Right. Again, it's hard for us to look at it because Sammy Sosa, for years, Sammy Sosa had been a Cub before anybody cared about who he was. But to think from 89 until was it 96? 97? 96 was the strike, so 97 was the home run year, or was it 98?
I think it was the 97 or 98.
Yeah.
Was when they had the big home run chase between McGuire and Sosa. And Frank Thomas was still doing it. Frank Thomas was still DHing and playing first base for the White Sox before he went on a one year stop from team to team before he finally hung it up.
It was the 98 season.
Okay.
So he lived in relative obscurity for 9 years, almost 10 years. Total obscurity, basically, except for the Cubs fans. And then all of a sudden, him and Mark McGwire come out in 98 and do what they did.
I think it was even midway through that season that Sammy Sosa, it wasn't until June of 98 that Sammy Sosa was still in the middle of nowhere, because a lot of people were talking about Ken Griffey Jr. and going up against Mark McGwire for that home run title or home run chase.
Yeah, so it wasn't even with that, you look at it and, man, I don't know. With that one, I'm not sure. But it just blows my mind that those two guys were basically the exact same era. So, with that being said, I think Frank Thomas wins mostly because of the steroids. And
so, if you throw in Mark McGwire, where would he place on there?
Mark McGwire. So I'm the opposite of most I'll say even Cubs fans. I still to this day love Sammy Sosa. I hate Mark McGwire still to this day. So he probably. I think McGwire comes in and wins. If it's the three of them, Mark McGwire wins.
All right.
So, okay.
So, any other ideas? Maybe so we said with the home run derby, bring back outs. Maybe put 3 kids back, 3 to 5.
If they're high school kids, make it 3. If they're junior high kids, make it. If it's 8, if it's older, if they're like freshman high school or 8th grade, junior high, make it 4. And then if it's anything 7th grade or below, make it 5. Ooh, I got a better one.
Okay.
You get to pick 3, 4, or 5 kids.
Okay.
As you're getting ready to go up to bat, you get to say, okay, I'll take the 3 high school kids. I think I can do it against the high school kids. I got this. Or you say, send in the little leaguers. And then finally, you could also say, let's go with the junior high kids, or let's go with the freshmen. How about that? I think it's never going to happen, but I think it would be fun.
No, it never is. It always ends up being these kids. They always they bring it back to them trying to connect to the underprivileged of the host city. And those are the ones that are out there.
We need that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. You do.
Let's first say we need that. So okay. So let's talk about our NBA finals or our NBA thing real quick because we've been putting it off for a while. So it looks like what they do is they split out their East versus the West. They split out into a tournament of randomly picking 5 in a pool, and then you have to play all 5 of them in a pentagram of some sort. I only say that because I'm looking at the video and it looks like they have a pentagram in there. That's what it looks like. You play in a pentagram. After that round robin pentagram happens, then they seed the teams and this is for a mid-season tournament. Then
you go into a knockout round. If you win I believe it's if you win your group, you go into the knockout round, and then you have 2 wild cards from each group from the group from the conference who are the best record that didn't win their group, and then you go into a knockout round, and then you have the finals, which I guess are going to be in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and is it just for money? Is what it looks like?
Just for money. The money and having they'll probably make some sort of banner out of it that you won the NBA Cup.
Okay, whatever.
They haven't gotten a name for it yet. That's the name that they came up with. I guess
the Bet City
take home.
The Bet City don't gamble if you're a player, but let us gamble on you. Cup.
Yeah. So I guess players will take home $500,000 for being on the team that wins the cup.
That doesn't go against your salary cap.
No, this is the players getting the money for winning this tournament.
Yep.
Players on the team that lose the title game will take home $200,000 each. So it's $500,000 each, not split up amongst the team. And players on the quarterfinal losing teams taking home $100,000. Players on the quarterfinal losers taking home $50,000.
Okay, that sounds fun.
So will any of this? Well,
I don't think it'll happen.
First off, do you think that does this meet their maybe goal of making early season NBA games count for something, or at least trying to get viewers into the game?
Nope. Unless the finals of this happen on. I mean, the hard part is you got to do it before your midway point and the biggest day of your year, which is Christmas. So you're going to do it in early December. Now you're wanting to get people to watch both in early December and on Christmas Day, and for your playoffs, and it ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna help.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll help their overall thing of wanting to limit the whole load management, the idea of load management. Because I think even because you're still going to have teams or players say, no, I'm not going to play in back to backs, or no, I'm going to take the night off.
Yeah. Okay.
That's still, this tournament isn't going to help them. It might help getting players into these games in November and December, but you're still going to have the teams playing the load management card in January and February and March before the playoffs start. So I think it could draw in more fans. It could draw in more casual viewers, depending on how much they hype this thing up and how much TV coverage it gets. But I don't think it's going to ultimately fix the problem of load management, though.
Yep. Okay, folks, we do have a schedule for our NFL previews. That'll start next week. We've been talking about doing it for a while. We're gonna do our power rankings, top 10, bottom 5, and where we find the Bears to be this offseason with the moves they've made. Then we're gonna go into we're gonna do our division previews starting the 29th through the 12th, and then we get into our winners of the divisions and wild cards. Then we get into fantasy, who to pick, who not to, and who to not sleep on. Finally, we get our champions, the September 1st and 2nd, and then the first week of the season, kickoff season. We're going to give you our Super Bowl champs on September 8th. With that, Rich, quick hits. The John Deere Classic was won by Sepp Stretka, who almost scored the lowest number we've seen in a tournament in a single round. We almost saw that last week. He came up short by double bogeying the last. Was great to watch. I watched more golf last Sunday than I think I have in 25 years. So, okay. With that, we have 2 shout-outs for comments. The first shout-out goes to Sue Hart. She likes watermelon. I like watermelon is what she said. Probably talking about our Ross Chastain watermelon beer conversation. And then number 2, David Burns, welcome you. He says he's watching from Cedar Hill, Texas. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We hope to see you next week. And if I see those comments earlier, I'll try to give it to you. If they want to give us a shout out, Rich, where should they do that at?
You know what, Mike? If you want the live shout out, make sure to watch our Facebook live streams, which you can find on Balls and Sticks, on fans of Balls and Sticks. Yeah, but you can also come on the YouTube side as well, which we post to there as well. That is the recorded version.
Yep.
Mike, if they're actually watching us either on YouTube or Facebook, and they want to take us on the road and have audio only, where can they find it?
Anywhere where you find your podcast. Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Podcasts, I believe. I don't remember if we got on Amazon. I'm sorry, I just said that. I don't know if we are, but I know that we're on Google and Apple. So check us out at all the major podcast platforms. And you can take us on the road, listen to us while you drive. And finally, Rich, where do we put those poll questions?
We put the poll questions on our Facebook pages, fans of Balls and Sticks, and also Balls and Sticks. You can also probably find them on mine and Mike's personal pages, as we tend to share the show posts onto our own.
I also want to ask you to like, comment, subscribe. Do all 3 of the things. Hit the bell if you're on YouTube. It really helps the channel get more visibility. And we think we're making content that people will enjoy. Rich, with that, do you have any personal shout-outs?
I do. I gotta say I gotta add a happy birthday to my nephew JD, 13 years old. We went and celebrated with him at the Olive Garden last night.
Yeah. Am I waiting till next week or I don't remember?
I don't know. It's in between shows, so it's your
I
choice. I don't
know.
mind.
Rich's birthday is this week, right?
Yeah, Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. So, happy birthday, Rich. It's like dead between shows. So, happy birthday, Rich, and we'll say it again next week. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, do me a favor. Wish Rich a happy birthday down in the comments. Let's flood these two pages with happy birthday Riches so we can let him know how much we love him. And if you're not going to do that, at least give him a shout out on Wednesday. And we'll figure out what we're going to do to celebrate this week. As next week, Rich and I are going to be together as we do the show. We'll see you next week. I don't know when it's going to be. I don't have a plan on that. I am coming in town to celebrate a whole bunch of stuff, including my sister and brother-in-law getting married, as well as Rich's birthday and Life Day. So, lots of stuff to go. And my dad's birthday, all happening in the next week and a half.
Wow, that's a lot of things to celebrate, Mike.
Yeah, next week I have, shout outs. We're going to need, at least 10 minutes just for personal shout outs for me. This doesn't include, anything you got going on or any. Yeah, this is just personal. So if you want to, it's going to be crazy. But, Rich, with that, what's it time to do?
Mike, let's go ahead and roll the outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.